This opening will change your life. It is something you can try to play against the French defense in an effort to take French players out of their comfort zone. Use this opening if you want to completely avoid the French defense theory. The most annoying pawn in the French is the e6 pawn. You see, this one pawn move kinda shuts down all of our king's pawn dreams of attacking the f7 pawn like that. Not to mention that French players enjoy playing closed games, especially in the opening phase. So our goal is to transform the French into an open game and probably destroy the e6 pawn. To do this, I still recommend you play c4 on the second move, so that if black plays pawn to d5 as they always do, you capture that pawn, and this kinda prompts black to open up the center like this, and lo behold, we just managed to break that little pawn chain on the center, so no more worrying about the e6 pawn. Some call this the Orthoschnapp, but at this point it's not yet a gambit. This is still the Steiner Variation. In my last two tutorial videos, I recommended to go queen a4 check and queen b3 check. Queen b3 is known as the Orthoschnapp Gambit in that you are gambiting the e4 pawn. Queen f4 check is not a gambit. You are not gambiting any pawn. In today's video, we are looking at MVL's favorite line, pawn takes. In fact, this is the main line. This is what most masters play. You can check the master's database, ED. So we voluntarily accept to remain with an isolated pawn that we easily get rid of, so that this pawn will be exchanged with black's c pawn as time goes on. Let's say black takes, queen takes. Now from here, your opening will be very simple. Your king's knight will be developed first, followed by your light squad bishop and probably your queen, then d4 and castle shot. Remember, this is no longer the normal French defense. How do we get rid of our isolated pawn? It will be pushed to d5 and later on exchange with black's c pawn. I love starting this way. Knight c3, attack on the queen. The top played move is queen d8. Now I love starting with the move bishop c4 for a reason. I want to be fast with my attack on the king side. So remember, this is in the queen d8 line. Again, given a chance, you want to start with this bishop attack like we do in the Orthoschnapp. Say black plays knight f6. You can see at least we are quick with our attack on the king side already, which means black has to move their queen for the third time. Say queen e7 check, also protecting the pawn. So now we can go knight ge2. And you see what queen e7 does is it just blocks the vision of the dark squad bishop, hence slowing down black's development on the king side. Even if black tries to fianchetto, we can simply castle short, and after bishop g7 we go d4. Once again, the idea is to play a very safe opening and try to figure it out in the middle game. Castle short, bishop g5. Every move comes with an attack. If h6, we attack the queen and knight, and this will be bad for black. If knight bd7, again we can do that if we want. Knight d5 or simply knight f4, we have all the reasons to attack black's pieces. Again, if pawn to h6, we have knight f4 and all that will follow. These are moments when you're going to see black responding with pawn to c6, and this may be the right time to get rid of your isolated pawn. If c5, you can even pin that knight to the queen temporarily. Say queen e5, bishop takes, knight takes g6, walking away with a free pawn, hg, queen takes, pawn takes, then knight takes. This is how you'll be getting rid of your isolated pawn in most cases. By the way, queen takes is not much of a stretch. We are equal in terms of material, so we can start activating all of our pieces. So this is one of those openings you want to play in order to neutralize the French if you don't like to see it. Once again, e4, e6, c4, d5, pawn takes, then pawn takes. Again, if queen takes, you start by attacking the queen first. If queen d8, you remember to start developing your pieces rapidly to slow down black's development. Another move you may see in this position is queen e5 check. Once again, you just develop your pieces normally. Knight f6, knight f3, the queen is under attack. They play queen f5 most of the times. Now up to you to castle short or play pawn to d4 or a3. So as you can see, this is a very simple opening to play and suitable for people who want to avoid any of the French theory. Again, e4, e6, c4, d5, pawn takes, and pawn takes, and say queen takes. Back on move 4, whenever you see queen takes d5, you always want to start with knight c3, attacking this queen. We saw what to do if queen d8 is played. You just go bishop c4, then queen b3, and all that. By the way, you are not limited to things you can do. Right here, you can even play knight f3, d4, bishop c4, and queen b3. The whole idea is to put your pieces on their most potential squares. You want to adopt an attacking mind. And at any point in time, you always want to get rid of your d pawn as quickly as you can. Just know when you play this line, you are trying to avoid all kinds of theories. Now let me show you how MVL plays this and what exactly happens at the top level. MVL with white pieces versus GM backroad ATN 2705 by rating. This game was played in 2012. Surprisingly, this can also arise from the English. And if white plays pawn to e6, you can then go pawn to e4. Just like that, you will see this transposition on the board. Back to the Steiner Variation French Defense. Now MVL usually takes on d5, which I don't really like. I love playing sharp games. In this position, my favorite move is queen a4 check. Pawn takes is what happened in the game. Now you will see most strong players not taking the pawn immediately. They want to take that pawn with the knight. So they first develop knight f6, and here is the main theory. From here, white usually plays bishop b5 check. The point is, if bishop d7, that's when we play bishop c4, holding on to our pawn, then knight c3, queen f3, maybe knight ge2, castle shot. Once again, there are no funny tricks and traps in this opening. It's just one of those openings that you play when you want to get out of the opening stage safely and when you just want to do away with theory. Anywho, black usually plays knight bd7 in this position, and MVL plays knight c3. Bishop e7 is what black played, Etienne, then d4, preventing knight c5 or knight e5. Also controlling the c5 pawn push. Castle shot, knight f3, knight b6, and h3, stopping bishop g4. You see, this is a very common position that you should get used to in the Steiner Variation. Black will be attacking your d4 pawn like this with the two knights. So this is kind of a system if you think about it. Bishop f5 was played, then castle shot by MVL. s6, bishop d3. You see, simple game, trying to go straight into the end game. Bishop takes, queen takes, knight fd5, rook e1. Another thing to remember here, you don't want to oversimplify things like taking. You see, you want to leave your knight on c3 for a longer period of time to provoke black to take so that they help you connect your center pawns like that. So that's why MVL played rook e1 here, rook e8, then bishop d2. You can see MVL is not taking the knight. He is waiting for black to take so that he can recapture with a pawn to get rid of the isolated pawn. And this is what happened. And I should mention to say this is another way of getting rid of your isolated pawn. Bishop f6 was played, then c4. Probably the intention was to go d4 next. Queen d7, bishop g5, oversimplifying things. Queen c6, bishop takes, queen takes, queen b3. The idea is to go c5 and capture a free pawn. Queen c6 was played, then knight e5. Simple chess once again. You can see what MVL is doing with this opening. No funny theories, no whatever. But anyway, with queen e6, black said, go pawn to c5, I'll get rid of your queen, you won't capture my b7 pawn. Anywho, rook c1, or rather rook ac1 by MVL, rook a d8, then a4, another idea to go a5 and capture that pawn. a5 was played, then rook e3 and f6. This is a sheer waste of time in that MVL could do all sorts of things like knight g4, even this, even that. What did MVL do? Offense is the best defense. You attack my piece, I attack your bigger piece. Queen c8, knight g4. Queen d7. So you can see what is happening on the board, you guys. Use this opening if you want to neutralize the power of the French and if you just want to have an equal game without worrying about too much theories in the French defense. Rook takes, knight takes, king f8, c5, knight c8, queen takes b7. Finally, after pawn takes, c6 was played and this is already game over. And I guess in a few moves, yep, black resigned right here after knight d5 because there was nothing to do. The knight was under attack. Of course, there are no funny tricks and traps in the mainline Steiner variation against the French, but you see, it works, especially in classical games, rapid chess, and let's say you don't just have a proper repertoire against the French defense. Because I tell you, if you play the normal French advanced variation like pawn to e5, black is well prepared with their stuff. Like pawn to c5 in this position, they'll do you bad. I mean, unless you know all the French theory. But if you just want to have an open game, a quick game leading to an end game, consider playing the Steiner variation with c4, kind of the Maroczy bind. Now check this out, you guys. If you want to learn more about these kinds of tricks or similar opening ideas like the ones I just shared, you can watch this video that has popped up on the top left. Another video that I highly recommend you check out to skyrocket your rating is this one that has popped up on the top right. But if you love Gambit videos, you can check out the video that has popped up on the bottom left. And if you are a lover of chess traps like myself, feel free to click on the video that has popped up on the bottom right.